Give me the green light. Give me just one night. I'm ready to go right now. I'm ready to go right now.
What's up, everybody? This is TheWon, aka Jodecideion on YouTube, and I'm bringing you part 2 of episode 24, Out from the Side of My Neck, The Invisible War. You know the main reason why people hate companies like Apple and Nintendo is because they're so independent. They honestly don't need anybody else. They create their own hardware, and they create the software their hardware uses. Unlike Microsoft and Sony, who pretty much the only reason they still do what they do is because of the huge third-party support they have. And unlike Microsoft in the computer business, who basically creates computers but let other companies create the software used for their computers, Apple and Nintendo really don't need that. They make the best software that sells the most on the hardware they produce. And this overall pisses a lot of people off. That's why, more than anything, the reason why they want these two guys to battle is for them to use all their resources up against each other. So finally, the other guys can come in like buzzards and pick the bones of the dead. Now we entered the final reasoning for this pairing: the lack of respect for both companies. Apple, with their high prices and elitist status, the average consumer can't honestly stand the image they give off. Apple is a prime example of an exclusive monopoly, where once you buy into it, you are predisposed to buy other products, since everything is linked one way or the other. When you become part of the Apple empire, you basically have no choice. At least, that is how the haters feel. Then, there's Nintendo, the offbeat gaming company. This generation has decided to change the game from what has been the status quo, taking different approaches to attract new gamers to the market, not designing the high-end graphic machines or the big budget blockbuster games that their rivals have. As I stated earlier in the video, the main reason why companies hate Nintendo and Apple is basically because they're independent. They're self-sustainable. They produce and create the hardware and the software used on their systems, on their hardware. They honestly don't need help from any third-party developer, because usually the software they create is the best quality, it sells the most, and it's usually what their consumers only purchase. So basically, if you have a piece of hardware that has this mass market appeal, and only people who can make money from this hardware are the people who create the software for it, mainly the same company, a lot of your peers, a lot of your rivals, a lot of people who want to get a little bit of that are going to be upset, because basically you have a monopoly over this, and there's a lot of money that can be made. So why Apple? What will make Apple Nintendo's greatest rival and most dangerous threat to its handheld market empire? Apple's entire existence has lived in its own bubble, affecting all areas around it, and at the same time not being affected by them. Macs taking sales away from computers, iPods taking away sales from MP3 players, iPhones affecting other cellular phone brands, the entire time never being affected by them. Like I stated before, Apple provide the software for their Macs. They provide the music download store, iTunes, for their iPods. Same for their movies with QuickTime. Apple controls everything around Apple products, even where you can buy their products. All along with Apple's products rising in market share and money sold, and their rivals slowly but surely falling. Even when they produce their own software and hardware to combat Apple, it makes no difference. Apple continues to grow and dominate. But you see, the gaming business is a lot more cutthroat than any other business Apple has ever been in, where they can make Mac commercials making fun of Windows and Microsoft just, straight up, where they can create multiple phones and have it to where if you want to use their phone, you have to buy a certain plan from a certain phone company. Keep everything close knit. They're able to do that. What is ScanDisk going to do against the iPod? What is Microsoft actually going to do against the Mac? What is Palm or any of the other guys going to do against the iPad? Nothing really. They are totally satisfied in getting what they can get and let Apple have the rest. But see, in the gaming industry, it's totally different. These gaming companies are fighting for everything. Their job is to come in, take everything they can, and let the other guys who can't get nothing sit there and die. You saw what happened to Sega when Sony came in. They took them out. And since then, they've been trying to take Nintendo out. So, the competition is a lot more fierce in the gaming industry. This brings us to the disrespect that is aimed at Nintendo. Despite Nintendo's common sense business models and plans, never losing money on hardware they sell, also creating high quality software that makes major money for their company, many feel that it has been the success of their handheld platforms that has Nintendo still in the video game business. You take any part of that away, and Nintendo is in danger of ending up like Sega. Also, the idea that Nintendo, the only true icon of gaming, the only company that you can really say is battle tested, will just sit by and let someone come in and take what is theirs. After multiple victories against every company imaginable, from Sega's Game Gear, Atari Lynx, the WonderSwan, Nokia's N-Gage, and Sony's PSP, all the time these systems were a superior piece of hardware compared to Nintendo's handheld. Nintendo has come out on top every time, due to the one thing that really matters in video games. They make superior games. So this brings us back to the main issue. If Apple really is going to enter the portable gaming business with their iPad, take it on Nintendo and Sony. Sony, who plans to continue with a new system in the future, who, despite how arrogant they've been in the past, waited 3 generations before they decided to enter the handheld market. Apple, who has no gaming history, can't possibly believe that by having past success with handhelds like the iPhone and the iPod, that they can just walk into the gaming industry. It's a totally different beast with its own set of rules, some of which Apple has already broken and need to change if they really want to achieve real gaming changing success. Coming in with a heavy price point for a device that has gaming being presented as an extra feature, not being accessible for purchase, and last but more important, the level of the overall quality of games being delivered to the gamers. Apple has a long way to go before they can even try to take away from the current power stables. If they can change these issues they currently have, they could become a real force to be dealt with. Create first-party gaming divisions that will make creative, innovative games that can only be found on the iPod. Use the capabilities of the iPod to enhance the games created for it. Bring the price point down to target all available consumers. Become more buyer-friendly, giving would-be customers an opportunity to purchase their products. Apple has some things going for them. Third parties are already jumping on board. Also, with the games being direct downloads, they are cheaper than retail copies. Plus, the Apple way of doing business. Create reliable, technological, advanced hardware that can set the world on fire, with a must-have attitude that has never been seen before. Put all that together and Apple can become the rival that can change the handheld market. Just please don't forget that the current king of the hill is just as creative. They have experience on their side, and more than anything else, this has been their livelihood for the past 30 years. They won't just give it up to them, or anyone else, without a fight. This is TheWon. I promise to be back soon. See you next time. Peace.